classified as a first felony offender. Offense manslaughter. Sentencing date January 16, 2009. Sentenced to a total of 18 years. Parole date June 18, 2022. Good time August 15, 2023. Full term March 1st, 2025. Is this information correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Wise.
Yes, ma'am. Moses, I see that you've had a little had some disciplinary write-ups, and you had a total of 28 that I have here now. Write-ups you've lost 423 days, lost a good time, and back on 1/30/2021, you had a 21C, and that was on 1/30/21. And your hearing date was 2/2/21. You had 60 days good time, 60 days loss of good time on your during that. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And before that, on 7/21/20, you had a 21C. You lost 30 days, like a good time. And back on 11/4/18/14, you had a Rule 14, and you lost 90 days extended lockdown. Well, that's not the way you're going to be getting out. The board has a practice that anytime you have a write-up within 1 year, you can automatically be denied. But as I see this, and it's, I just want to see why is the reason you're still getting write-ups while you're in prison. How are you going to do right on the streets when you can't do right while you're in prison?
Making just better decisions and really watching who I'm around, sir.
Okay. Well, I just want to let you know today, my vote will be to deny because of your disciplinary write-ups and your loss of good time. I don't have any other questions.
All right, does staff have any input there?
Hi, this is Assistant Warden Sherman. I'm sitting in for Warden Goodwin. His record pretty much speaks for itself. He's not, he hasn't been a big problem in prison. He does pretty much what he wants. I mean, what he's told, but he does have some problems with his conduct.
All right. All right, thank you. Now we'll hear from Ms. Brandy. Would you like to make a brief statement?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'd like to read the letters that I wrote and my daughter wrote and my Aunt Debbie, if I can.
Yes, ma'am. Just brief statement. Yes, ma'am.
All right. My name is Stacy Parkman. My brother and I never left each other's side. There'd be a time where he'd call for my mom and I would come running to pick him up. He was like my own little baby. Sometimes I can hear his voice. I remember the day he was murdered like yesterday because I live with it every day. I can never escape it because I was only 8 years old. I remember every year. It all started when I got home from school. When I got off the bus, I walked inside and Preston was in the living room. Sitting at the computer, he told me happy birthday and asked me about my party. I had 2 friends coming over. One of them was sleeping over. He grabbed, I'm sorry. I don't even want to read her letter. I gave it to y'all.
Yes, ma'am. No, yes,
We have a copy of it.
Yes, ma'am. We have a copy. We read it. Yes, ma'am. That's fine. Yes, ma'am. And we understand.
It's just, it's hard because
Sure.
I know Preston wants y'all to think that it was an accident, and it wasn't an accident, because if it was an accident, who in their right mind would make a 5-year-old bathe a dead baby and put clothes on him? Who would do that? And now my kids are grown and I have grandbabies. The love I have for my grandbabies, I could just imagine the pain that my parents went through. The Like, we live with this every day. I'm proud of my kids just waking up and fighting every day to deal with this. I don't think Preston should get out. I know he's going to get out eventually. There's nothing I could do about that. All I'm asking y'all for is a little more time for me and my children to heal.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am. Miss Debbie, would you like to make a statement? A brief statement?
Yes, sir, I would.
Go ahead and make a brief statement.
I also don't want this man to get out right now because it's just not right for him to be out walking the streets when he did this to my little nephew. There was no reason. I mean, I have prayed and prayed over this, and I just cannot fathom what a 15-month-old baby could have done for any man or any woman to do anything like this to a child. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, babies cry, babies wet, babies poop, and what could this child have done that deserves this? And I just don't want to see him out yet because I don't believe that he's a changed man yet. I met Mr. Preston one time down in South Louisiana, and I just got a bad impression about him. I mean, the first time I laid eyes on him, my cousin was giving him a ride to go to work, and he walked out the door, and I said, "Who is that?" And when they told me who he was, they said that he was a friend of Brandy's sister, that she brought him home, that he didn't have a place to stay. So they opened up the doors to this man, gave him rides back and forth to work, anywhere he needed to go, they was giving him a ride. They opened up their arms and welcomed this man into their house. And for him to do something like this, I don't understand.
Yes, ma'am.
That's about all I got to say right now.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your comment.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Preston, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
I want to say that I'm truly, genuinely sorry to the family.
I can't hear you. Pull your mask down a little bit so I can hear you.
I want to say I'm genuinely sorry to the family for what I put them through. It was an accident. I was in a bad place. I pray for forgiveness for what I've done. I cannot undo what was done. All I can say is that I'm not the same person no more. How they feel, they're more than entitled to feel, because if the roads were reversed, I would feel the same way. All I can ask is that they continue to heal, and hopefully one day they can, find forgiveness in their heart and, genuinely move past it.
All right. Thank you for your comments. Panel prepared to vote. Mr. Jim Wise?
Yes, sir. At this time, I'm gonna vote to deny. You got a disciplinary write-up on 1/30/21 with a 21 C, loss of good time of 60 days with a total loss of good time of 423 days. Also, strong law enforcement and opposition and victims' opposition to your release. Thank you. Today, I vote to deny.
Pearl?
Good morning. My vote is the same for the same reasons. And to the family, I appreciate y'all's courage to participate today, y'all. It's good to see y'all.
All right, Jeff, 2 votes to deny. I'm also going to vote to deny your parole for the same reasons as stated. Again, heartfelt to the family and to the family's victim. Thank you, guys. I know it's tough being here, but do understand that he according to his good time, he will get out in 2023. That's just what it is, just so you guys know. Thank you for being here. 3 votes to deny today. Your parole's been denied.
You know what Mr. Kelsey said at the end? He has his good time date. It's just the way it is. Yeah, it's just the way it is, because who cares? Who cares Can you imagine what he did? We have the details. He told police that he ended that baby's life because it wouldn't stop crying. Now, there's a lot of messed up things with this case. Why in the world the family ever brought this sicko into their house is beyond. And I know you're not supposed to bring. I don't understand it, okay? But he had a conviction of cruelty to a juvenile simply 1 year before he committed this crime. Now, they would have had no idea. But yeah, he gets a conviction like that. Doesn't serve any real jail time that we know of, just to get out and do this to baby. And then even with that on the record, they only give him a 22-year sentence with a good time after serving a fraction of it. Well, Louisiana couldn't protect this child. None of the court systems, legislation, district attorneys, no one cared. But Providence, something did, because he didn't make it to his good time. Nope. Nope. At quite a young age, we don't know how, but something happened to make sure that he would never harm a child again. He passed away at the age of 37 in his jail cell. We don't know how, we don't know why, but we do know that it happened. It says he had a wife. Can you imagine? Or maybe it's their wife, not his wife. I could be wrong. It's look at that. Look at that's the best picture they can come up with. He looks like a monster, even in his obituary. That's hard to pull off. And here's from the news article. Morse told police that he killed the child when the child refused to sleep. That's what it was. And that he did so several hours before he called for help. It was an intentional act, according to the evidence discovered. He intentionally smothered the baby. An autopsy on the baby was completed this morning. Evidence collected from the exam is consistent with the statements of authorities that he said. The child died because of a lack of oxygen, and further tests are pending. There is no evidence that indicate that Morris was under the influence. Morris has been living with the parents for about 10 months and was described as a family as a live-in babysitter. I mean, I'm just saying, how can you bring a man off the street as a live-in babysitter? Forget that he has a cruelty to a juvenile charge. I mean, I know that you're not supposed to, but it is mind-boggling that could even happen. He watched their children, ages 8, 5, and 3, while the couple went out. If convicted, he faces life in prison. See, there it is. Previous arrest, 2006. I mean, that was immediately before he got taken in by this family. It's just insane. And there's a lot of articles where they talk about this cute little baby whose life was taken by this monster. And it is infuriating. I mean, can you get any more enraged that every single step along the way, except until he just, there's something that happened that said no, because we know if he gotten out what he would have done again. We know it's only common sense. But the court system, they didn't care. The DAs did not care. The judge did not care. They didn't want to go to trial. You don't think you should go to trial for something like this? You think you should just give a sentence that would have let him out before he even turned the age of 40 to repeat and repeat and repeat? How? How can you do that how can you go to sleep at night? It's insane. You can't. Anyone with common sense and a common decency can never understand how a sentence like that could have been carried out. And by the grace of whatever you want to call it, he was not let out. And for that, we should all owe an internal gratitude of thanks, because another child will not be hurt by that monster. And with that, I will let you go.